Welcome to week 15 of the Sunday Spread. Once again, welcome to the show where petty beasts and touchdown parlays come together. And you'll see why in just a moment. Devin Caney, Barrett Brooks, Super Bowl champ Barrett Brooks, Sean Bell, here to kick it with you. We got a lot for the show. We got a lot of drama in Philadelphia, if y'all didn't know. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But first, we got to get into what we're dead right and dead wrong about from last week. And there was a lot we were wrong about. I'm going to say that right off the bat.
Yeah, it wasn't a great week.
Well, at least for me.
Nah.
Dev, for you.
Yeah.
Always talk about your touchdown parlays.
Well, yeah. Let's start with the touchdowns. Didn't go 3 for 3. I went 2 for 3. Brock Bowers. I'm just learning. Barry, your tight ends. Every time I include a tight end, a couple weeks ago it was Sam Laporta. The following week he goes off and gets 2 touchdowns.
Right.
When I don't include him. Brock Bowers, we're debating if he's the best tight end in the league, and then he does nada last week. But otherwise, my touchdowns, I got, what were the other two? It was Najee Harris and Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. So, boom. And those both hit in the first half of both those games. So things were looking bright for me, and then Brock Bowers kind of dropped the ball. So did my pick as the Bears and DeAndre Swift to potentially get a touchdown, but the Bears to also upset the 49ers. I was very wrong about that. I will admit it, Sean.
I picked the Bears away.
You're right, but your 49ers looked like 49ers of old.
Well, let me say this.
And then their running back got injured, so they're going to have to just
do.
Pull a random guy off the street to run
Let
the
me
ball.
say this to our producer, Kenny. Watch your mouth when you talk about George Kittle. Okay, Kenny. Okay, all that stuff you was talking about Brock Bauer being the best.
I was waiting for our show group chat to start
I said I was
going to
save it for this here. Oh, Brock Bauer, George Kittle's a thing of the past. And he was playing your Chicago Bears and lit you up at the tune of 6 catches, 151 yards. The only thing that would make this better is if you would have played him in fantasy. Okay? So he was rocking you. Put some respect on Kittle's name. That's all I got because I was wrong almost everywhere.
Like
I said, I had Chicago winning this game. I said there's no way Chicago should lose this game against the 49ers that are always hurt. Let's go with all the wrongs. I think a lot of us picked the Chargers to upset the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
Well,
Black Magic.
I won't even
Black
take
Magic
that.
once again.
I
don't know what
like
they're
that.
doing.
I see that.
Demon blood. I don't know I don't know, demonic whatever. I don't know what they're doing.
They won
with
on
the man downstairs.
Well, I took Chargers with the points though.
No, that's
okay.
Chargers with the points,
That's
but then, I mean.
Wait, was it the Chiefs were underdogs?
No, I thought they were
favorites.
I thought they were favorites. I thought it was -2.5, wasn't it?
Probably, I don't.
Yeah, but they still. I'm just asking because we talked about how the Chiefs, even when they're favored, like never cover.
Right, never covered,
and they still didn't.
Yeah.
And then my Cardinals got totally blown out the water.
Yeah.
Blown out the water. I mean, come on, that was crazy, And then, there's no way on God's green earth that I think the Panthers wouldn't cut. I mean,
you said 20.
Yeah, I said 20. That's what I'm saying.
20. It's going to be a 20-point victory. I put a bet on that.
I knew it. I even said 12.5 was too big because I just knew that this was a trap game spot. They'd been playing tough opponents, like coming off a Ravens win. That was a tough game. I just had a feeling. I had a feeling. And the Panthers have been playing better.
You should have gave me more of that because I went so much as the, give them, 8 extra points. Went 20.
Look, when you were vibing with the Eagles and confident, and I respect that, so I didn't want to rain on your parade there.
Yeah, you should have rained on my parade
because it
rained on my bets. That's what it did.
We're gonna talk about that in a minute. Bills Rams upset of the week.
That game, I saw a meme video that was like an impersonation of Bills Rams, and it was just like 2 guys shooting each other over and over. Like not in a violent way with toy guns.
I did win that.
You did.
I did win that, and I called that. Yes, I did win that. I just knew that, at that point, the Bills had just came off a great game.
Yeah.
Great game playing in the snow. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, bam, going against this, that Rams team. I mean, I just know they can score, man. I know we're going to go with the over because, they're going to be scoring everywhere. And it ended up going with the over, beating with the over. And, it was a good game still. It was a good game.
6 touchdowns from Josh Allen.
Yeah, man.
6 touchdowns in a game.
Did that kind of cement his MVP?
Yeah.
Even though they lost?
Yeah, again, we're going to talk about it anyway. The numbers he's putting up is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anything else y'all want to point out? Again, we talked about a lot of wrongs. I lost a game parlay bet on Titans Jaguars. I don't even know why I put it in there, but like the Jaguars suck. Doug's about to get fired.
Right.
The final
Titans
score
have fought kind of tough.
Was it 16 total points?
And
a big 10-6 victory.
What annoys me, because Dev, we talked about it last week. Like I think we talked about when to cash out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
during the first slate of 1:00 games, because I picked all the 1:00 games, I forgot. I think I put 20 on it, but the cash out was like 40 something in the third quarter. Like, all right, like it's not anything big, but I can cash out and be ahead.
Have money to bet next week.
And have more money to bet on just the later games. I said, should I cash out now? Nah, I'm gonna win this. Because the Titans Jaguars was the only game that was in flux out of the picks that I made. And there you go.
Didn't hurt.
I thought there was gonna be a little more fight out of the Falcons. I went Falcons with the money line.
Falcons seem to be spiraling. They've lost 4 in a row now.
Yeah, they were. It was close through 3 quarters. It was tied.
Yeah.
And in the fourth quarter, the Vikings just went crazy. So, all right, let's skip to this week in the crazy news. All right, like I didn't think we would be talking about college football, but we had to talk about college football with Bill Belichick deciding to go to North Carolina to be the head coach, GM, everything there. I think we all assumed, hey, look, I forget what the games were, 14 games, I believe, away from Don Shula from being all-time coaching record for wins.
Yep.
And instead of doing that, he's deciding to go down to college. Dev, I know you went to Pitt, so you know nothing about college football, but I'll ask you anyway.
All right, say that to Larry Fitzgerald's face, Dan Marino's face, James Conner, DeMar Hamlin.
Sounds 30 years ago.
We're going to forget about Kenny Pickett.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Half the original Hogs went there.
40 years ago. But I'll ask you anyway. What you think about that when you first heard it? Just shocked?
I didn't think it was true when when it was confirmed. It was just rumors circulating. I thought it was kind of just like, because I feel like every week we have a new candidate for Bill Belichick to go coach. I was finally starting to believe that he genuinely was happy, just like chilling in the media, because he's been doing a lot. He does an NFL show. He's on the Pat McAfee show. He does podcasts. Like, he's everywhere, it seems. And especially a school like UNC. Like, let's be real, UNC isn't necessarily known as a football school. It's a basketball school.
Yeah.
But I think you have to look at what Colorado did with Deion Sanders and bringing in like a celebrity coach, like a coach and a guy who has a successful history in the sport at a pro level and college level, but pro level. And he really elevated the Colorado program. And I'm assuming that we're probably going to see the same thing happen with UNC. Like, they're not a football school, and I think Bill Belichick will make them a football school, just like now Colorado is becoming back to a football school. So I think it's great that he's not going to end up in Dallas. Like, that's great as an Eagles fan. That was my biggest worry. I respect the move by Bill Belichick. I do.
Okay. What about you?
I mean, I think he just knows how to communicate with the younger generation. I got a young girlfriend. Maybe he meets.
Oh, buddy.
I'm sorry. Yeah, let me stop that. Let me stop. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know he didn't meet her in detention, but still, no, let me really stop this time. Why? Go back to the league. Why are you going to Carolina? I don't understand it. Go where you can relate. He's not gonna like being down there dealing with those NIL deals, the transfer portal. Even though he'll use for the first couple of years, he'll use that transfer portal to build that team up and have them, at least close to being at least in the playoffs. But still, though, I mean, I just don't understand why. But I mean, who am I to hate? He's the greatest coach to ever coach right now.
I think he's doing it for. I was about to curse. Ish and giggles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
just because I can.
At first, it was like, okay, Don Shula, you want to catch that. That's what everyone assumed. But they already consider him the GOAT.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no debate about it. It's not like he needs to get that win total to establish anything.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm already considered the best to ever do it in this. And so it's like, all right, he talked to Nick Saban, obviously. Those two are boys. Let me do something. Nick Saban, you tried the NFL stuff. It wasn't a success. Let me see if I can go down to where you were and become a success just so we can have bragging rights when we're playing golf.
Yeah.
right? Like, so I just think he's like, just let me try and experience before it's all said and done that I've never done before. So I guess that's the thing that he's thinking about here. I can do this NIL thing. I see Dion do this. All right, I ain't gotta actually do some of the young things that people expect me to do. I'm like, transfer portal, come to me. I'm Bill Belichick. Period. So
I also wonder if it's
one new challenge.
I know you said it as a joke, Barrett, but almost the opposite of like he loves, working with the kids and all that. I know his girlfriend's very young, which is gross. But I think like maybe it has to do with him when he was a coach in the NFL, dealing with rookies coming in. And I know he mentioned in an interview, I think it was on the Pat McAfee show, he said it wasn't confirmed yet. He said if he were to go to at the college level, it would be to make sure these guys are completely, ready for the NFL. And maybe in his time coaching, he felt like he was seeing more and more guys come in as rookies and not be ready. Maybe it's him trying to, I don't know.
In all honesty,
get guys reform the system. I don't know.
In all honesty, they're going to do something about that. I think within the next 6 months, they're going to do something about the NIL deals. They're going to do something about the transfer portal. They're going to have to in order for college football to, sustain.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I'm just playing around, I'm just joking around. But I mean, Belichick's a great coach, and I just think he needed another challenge to see. All right, can I come down here and have the same success that I had when I was at the NFL level? He said, I mean, it's something that he wants to pull and say, look at what I'm going to do. And I think that's the biggest thing with it. All jokes aside, I just think he needs another challenge to go out there. At this point, his age, he's one of those guys. He needs that healthy competition, that healthy maturation of making guys great. He wants to make guys great, so he wants to coach guys and make them great at the college level.
Let's see where this goes.
Good luck, Coach. Good luck.
Hop back into the NFL. It's drama. Eagles land drama.
Straight drama. Off of one.
No city has so much drama after a win.
No.
Than the city of Philadelphia.
No.
And I just want to say, it ain't just I know the narrative sometimes the national media. No, it's just Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Whether it's the national media, local media, fans, it's just like we love it or something.
Yeah.
There's going to be drama here even after a win. But again, the players this time provided some of the drama after the game.
Well, no, one player said 2 words.
Yeah.
And it stemmed up, and we blew it up to a national level. He just said 2 words. Passing game. 2 words.
Yeah. Well, let me lay it out for people who haven't been listening, right? So, or haven't been paying attention. The Carolina Panthers, no, they almost beat the Eagles. And the offense didn't look great. The run game looked great, but the passing game didn't necessarily look like it was on its P's and Q's. So after the game, it was asked, hey, Carolina Panthers shouldn't be this close. The offense not getting a lot of points. AJ, and I'm paraphrasing here, obviously, what do you think the issues are here? He said the pass game. Mm-hmm. Going from there, a whole lot of drama was created, right? Like, everybody said, oh, he's talking about Jalen Hurts. There can be similar problems. Brandon Graham jumped in on 94 WIP and said some things he probably shouldn't have said in public and said, hey, those two need to hash it out. Mm-hmm. And they don't need to do it like that, and insinuated that they ain't that cool with each other anymore.
Yeah.
And so the media has taken that out of place. Is there A.J. Brown beef with Jalen Hurts? How bad is the beef? Is this going to be like last year? I think that's the biggest thing. Is this going to be similar breakdown as it was last year because of what they perceive to be new drama? Mm-hmm. Dev, again, I'll start with you. We only got 3 minutes, so we're going to bleed over to the second segment because we know we're going to talk about this plenty.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So I'm a member of the Philadelphia media, and I work in sports talk radio, so I know this is shocking to hear. I didn't think it was a big deal when A.J. Brown came out after the game and said the passing game, because anyone with eyeballs who has watched the Eagles offense can say, or team, I should say team as a whole, can say when you have to point to one area, if you had to point to one area that needed improvement, it would be the pass game. Saquon Barkley's going off, and it's great, and it's amazing, but we're not seeing A.J. Brown get double-digit numbers or triple-digit numbers week after week like we've seen in seasons past and like we should be for the receiver that he is and how much he's paid. I get he's clearly frustrated. He was wide open. Jalen Hurts is clearly a little off, and he was against the Panthers on Sunday last week, and I would be frustrated too. I don't blame him. Should he have said that? No, but it was right after the game, and he was clearly frustrated on the sidelines throughout the game. Brandon Graham, so sweet. Didn't have to say all that.
Right.
Brandon Graham can sometimes, he's an emotional guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's on IR. He loves the Eagles. He's played for this team for well over a decade. He got emotional about it, and he said things he shouldn't have said. And here in Philadelphia, when you talk like that, especially when you're a guy like Brandon Graham, who everyone listens to, it's going to blow up and get blown out of proportion. This team, the vibes around this team are nowhere near as bad as they were last season when they were 10-1. So
well, that's the thing.
I don't see a collapse happening.
That's that Band-Aid right there, though. That's that Band-Aid right there.
Put a pause
because
in
you
it.
said that
Let's
last
put a
year.
pause in it right now. Got to take a break. When we come back, Dev, we're going to let you finish, and then we'll chime in and go over this Eagles stuff. And if they can have a potential breakdown like they had last season and lose in the first round of playoffs, or is this nothing and this team is destined to go to the Super Bowl? We'll be right back. It's the Sunday Spread. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread and the drama that is everything that comes with it. All right, we were just talking about the Eagles drama. Again, recap, A.J. Brown, not happy with the passing game. Brandon Graham speaks probably when he shouldn't have spoken. It gets blown out of proportion with the fans, with the local media, and with the national media. And now everyone's questioning whether they're going to have the same breakdown as they did last season. Barrett, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts on what happened, and is this last season?
You know, and I sit back and as, you know, also a member of the Philadelphia media, I thought it was a bunch to do with nothing. I mean, you have superstar players, and every team that I played on, I've had superstar players that have the same type of mentality, the mentality that he's a great player, meaning AJ, and AJ wants the ball because he feels he can help the team. I don't think it was selfish intent with it. I just think that he thinks that he can, you know, the type of player he is, that he could help out this team and they could win easier. That's the bottom line. They just want to win. He feels though the passing game will help him win. And for him to say passing game, he wasn't saying maliciously towards Jalen, but you got to look at what was going on during the game. And once I said, I watch a ton of film all the time. That's all I do is watch, you know, film. College football, NFL film. But some of the passes that were missed in that game were egregious. Mm-hmm. They just, or the non-throwing of passes was egregious. I just didn't see how the ball was not coming out of Jalen's hands. I didn't understand it. I mean, there were times where AJ was wide open, Smitty was wide open, and the ball was not delivered. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, Jalen has to be more aware of where the ball should go, getting out of the timely fashion. I mean, even you look at Tua. When Tua, you know, he takes the snap, backs up, when he hits that third step, the ball is out of his hand. They got to get more passing routes to timing routes to him or speed things up in Jalen's mind because there's plenty of meat on the bone out on the field. So I think that's what is frustrating AJ so much because, number one, the guys are open, he's open, and they're not getting the ball within the framework on how the offense is supposed to run. Not necessarily going out there and freestyling or gunslinging, but a play is called the first and second read. If they're open, get the daggone ball to them. Mm-hmm. And that's the bottom line. I understand the second play of the game. It was a shot play, and it was perfect. Second play of the game, AJ was wide open. He split the corner and the safety, wide open. Instead, he checks it down to a receiver, Dotson. Why? Get it to the guy that was, you know, that the play was designed for a shot. You throw a beautiful deep ball, Jalen. Mm-hmm. Get the ball to him.
So this whole issue, I believe, can be traced back to, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, it's all Jalen Hurts' fault, but you can kind of trace this all back to Jalen Hurts. What was his issue at the start of this season and last season? He was turning the ball over.
Right.
And he's gotten that under control, but in doing so, I think he's gotten so afraid mentally. He has like a mental block into not even necessarily throwing into coverage because there were plays where A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, guys were open.
Right.
I think he's overthinking it, and he's holding on to the ball, and that's why he's getting sacked. He's got one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines in front of him, protecting him.
4 seconds.
He's got to get the ball out quicker, and it's almost like he needs like a sports psychologist or someone to talk him through it because he's clearly like, it's almost like you can see the wheels churning in Jalen Hurts' brain when he's looking down the field where he's not seeing guys like A.J. Brown or anyone really past what's right in front of him. And that's why when teams blitz him, it's an automatic sack. Like,
Yep.
they're going to get to Jalen Hurts because he's not getting that ball out. And I think you can trace back all of these issues to that. So I'm not saying he should be thrown into coverage all the time and that he should go back to turning the ball over, but there's got to be a happy medium. He's got to make decisions quicker when he's out there on the field.
Or he's just not that great at it.
Well,
the best version. And
yeah,
that's not
I think
to say
that's
Jalen
true.
Hurts isn't a really good quarterback.
Yeah. But you
it's
can
what
still
are your
improve.
strengths?
You can still improve
Yes.
on that because I think it's mental in
But
terms of the timing. I'm not saying, like, I agree. I don't think he's like Patrick Mahomes
I just
level
don't
quarterback.
think he can read. Like, he can read, but not to that level. The best version of Jalen Hurts involves him running the ball.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not him sitting back. And Cam Newton had a passionate thing about Lamar Jackson and telling Lamar Jackson, don't let them take away your superpower.
Mhm.
Right? Like, I know you want to get in the pocket. Donovan McNabb had that problem where
Yeah,
it's
he
like,
did.
oh, you don't want to run anymore? That's part of what makes you great.
Mhm.
So part of what makes Jalen Hurts great and effective and be able to score touchdowns is his ability to run the ball, and that's going to take away from the pass game. That's why I've always said you don't need a wide receiver number 3. A wide receiver 3 is not going to be utilized when Jalen Hurts is playing his best football.
Mhm.
But for me, this entire thing, I look at it, I guess, in 3 aspects. One, Brandon Graham shouldn't have spoken out,
Yep.
Mhm.
but he saw a glimpse, right? Obviously, something like this happened last year, and it messed with the team. And because he saw a glimpse of that, he spoke out emotionally quickly.
Yep.
Obviously, he shouldn't have done it, but he just let us know that was part of the issue last year.
Yeah. for
Because
sure.
around here in Philadelphia, we kind of know there's some rumors out there, but we don't know factually why things really broke down last season.
Mhm.
And Brandon Graham saw something that made him go, that I saw this last year. Don't even start that mess. Like, it's like the older uncle. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, don't even start that over there. I don't even want to see that again. So I think that was a big thing that Brandon Graham had to jump in. The other thing, and T.O. and Freddie Mitchell talked about it, cats don't need to be friends, man. Like,
No.
what we talking? Like,
Mhm.
I understand their prior relationship and the relationship may have changed. I don't care. You
Right.
people hate each other. This 53-man roster. Guess what? Half of the people hate each other.
Yep.
Right? Like, even on successful teams that win Super Bowls, centers hate quarterbacks hate wide receivers, coaches may not like their quarterback.
Mhm.
I'm sure Big Ben and Mike Tomlin didn't love each other. You can speak on that or don't, because I don't want you to get in trouble. But they didn't have to love each other. Do your job.
Right.
And so
I mean,
long as AJ and Jalen ain't emotional, and I think that's some of the concern. Like, AJ, like, I get it, but make sure you don't go over the top. Make sure you don't be emotional. And T.O. was emotional at some points. Don't be emotional and do your damn job, and you can win a Super Bowl.
out of that.
Period.
Out of that.
So I'm like, I don't care. Like, I know a lot of Philadelphia. I don't care if y'all friends. I don't give a damn. And guess what? You're probably not going to be friends anymore because it's hard to. You ever try to work with your partner?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to work with my wife.
Yeah.
No.
Just not doing it. Right? Like, it doesn't lead to greatness inside your home.
Mhm.
And so it's the same thing for we're best friends, godparent. Like, there's gonna be friction there because that's sport.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get over it at some point. But while you're playing together, it's gonna be there.
I mean, it's just.
But bottom line, get your asses out there and ball.
Well, a perfect example. Outside of the studio, you guys are the best of friends. But as soon as that mic gets in front of you,
I hate her. I hate her.
You hate? Wow.
JK,
Hate is a strong word.
JK.
No, but I mean, that's
he,
real,
He
though.
acts like
That's
he
real.
doesn't know me outside of this. So
Like, who was
the mics turn off, and Sean's like, "Bye.
Bye.
Who are you?"
Pitt?
I waved him on the street. I'm like, "Sean, hi." He's like,
Sunglasses on. Pitt? Ugh.
Oh.
So with all that said, a lot of drama going on here. Let's get to
anyways.
something else. MVP odds. We're gonna get to our underdogs since we always get to our underdogs in the second segment.
Mhm.
But MVP odds, despite a loss, the gap got wider. Josh Allen had 6 touchdowns, an amazing game. Offense scored 42 points. He's now minus 450. Minus 450. Saquon Barkley plus 400. Does Saquon have a shot?
I don't think now those 6 touchdowns kind of put Josh Allen in rare air. I think at this point, he's kind of differentiated himself as far as MVP voting, and it doesn't help that all this going on with Philadelphia is not going to put Saquon Barkley in the best light because I think they're going to try to go out and please, A.J. Brown and throw the ball to him a little more than they used to. And now, it's kind of going to mess up the little chemistry they had with running the rock for Saquon.
Yeah, I mean, I love Saquon. I think he's had and is having a literally historical season, but I never thought that he was going to win just because it's not a running back award. It's a quarterback award. Voters are always they're not from Philadelphia. They're always going to vote for the QB. And Josh Allen is playing really well. Like, you have to give him credit. And especially, before the season, I felt like I saw the Bills kind of downgraded on everyone's power rankings because they lost Stephon Diggs. Like, they didn't really have that offensive weapon. Yeah, they didn't have like that person for him to get the ball to. And of course, it's before Amari Cooper. But even now, like, he's spreading the ball out. He's not turning it over, which I know has plagued Josh Allen in the past. And even though they lost to the Rams, like, that was an insane game. It was an insane game to watch. And even previously, the snow game against the 49ers, where Josh Allen put the team on his back and just like ran through the snow to score. Like, he's incredible to watch. He's fun to watch, and I think he deserves it. Even though, like, I am a fan of Saquon, I just don't think it's going to go to a running back. I don't.
Yeah.
I think Josh Allen has a chance to, not that he hasn't solidified. I think this game against the Lions, which we'll get into a little bit later, I think that this game, if Josh Allen goes off again, is really his opportunity to, like, put it in concrete, right, and, like, get that MVP award.
Yeah, he has to drop an egg, a complete egg against the Lions, and Saquon has to do something sick in order for Saquon to get up there and potentially win, or at least be in range, because
he's got to win. He's got to win. He's got to have over 2,100 yards. He's got to go out and break Eric Dickerson's record.
And that won't be enough.
You don't think that'll be enough?
He's on pace to do it now, and it's still not enough.
Yeah, I don't think it's
with the betting, right? So you look at Josh Allen at the Lions game. He has the Patriots, the Jets, and the Patriots again. That is easy money for a lot of statistics. So this Lions game, if he plays great, he wins. After this week, he doesn't have to do anything else, no matter what Saquon does. Right. If he plays an okay game, he probably still has in his bag, but Saquon would then have to have another 250 type of game and do some things like that. And even if he plays bad, he'll still be ahead. Well, but you know what I mean? Some things will have to change. So, again, a lot is riding on this Detroit Lions game. It can put it away. It's similar to Lamar Jackson playing the 49ers last year.
Yep.
Yeah, and it may have been around the same week. At week 15 or something like that. He put up a show against San Francisco. MVP chase over.
Mm-hmm. I think anytime you can take Backpack Boy and make him a player, you're that dude. You take a guy, Mac Hollins, with no shoes on, going to games in the snow outside. You make him a player, you are a gifted quarterback if you can do that. And that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, Kenny says week 16 was that 49ers Baltimore Ravens game where Lamar basically won the MVP. So let's get to our underdogs. Again, we had some underdogs win last week. We talked about the Rams-Bills right there. That was a huge underdog. Mm-hmm. Again, I know Barrett picked it, but that was a huge underdog, and they were able to get the dub. Let's talk about underdogs this week. Dev, I'll start with you. What underdogs are you looking at to potentially get a dub?
I'm going to stick with the game we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. I can't believe the Bills are underdogs in this game. I know it's home in Detroit, and the Lions are on a roll. They've won 12 straight games, but I just think that the Bills are going to be hot coming off and mad coming off that Rams loss. They're going to want to bounce back. Josh Allen, I think even though they say they're not playing for it, like, he knows he's playing to solidify that MVP award.
Of course.
I think that the Bills offense and the Lions defensive injuries, I think that they lost another defensive lineman to concussion last week. Mm-hmm. I think that that's just going to add up, and they're not going to be able to score enough to overcome that Bills offense. I think the Bills are just too potent. They're on a roll. I know they're both on a roll, but I think the Bills are going to want revenge and going to be mad from their loss to the Rams. And it's in a dome.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking the same thing. If I'm gonna look at a game, I just like the way the Panthers came up here and handled business here in Philadelphia against this Eagles team. Even though they didn't win, I mean, they were a drop pass away from losing that game. So I really like
the Cowboys
how the
are
Panthers.
The underdogs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I really like how the Panthers played, but I just like how the Cowboys defense looks at this point. And for them to be favored over the Cowboys by 3 is it's crazy to me. And understanding, that defense and how good it looks. I think they beat up on this Panthers team, and they beat that Panthers team.
You've given the Cowboys a lot of love this season.
I know,
I
man.
just want to say,
no,
I know that's supposed to be your riding partner.
It is, man.
He's giving the Cowboys some love.
Wait, he
I
has.
almost
I
throw
think
up.
this is now the third or fourth.
This is the third time that I went with them, but yeah, I got to go with them. I mean, I just like Michael. The reason it's my love with Michael Parsons. I think Parsons should be here with the Eagles in another year and a half.
Hey,
he'll be wearing Eagle green in a year.
He wants to be. I'm
sure he would like that.
He wants to be here. I'm going with the Steelers, and
to cover or to win outright.
I think they can win outright. But
what?
5.5 seems ridiculous. That's a lot.
That's why I said cover.
Yeah, I think they can cover.
The
but winning
Steelers
outright,
are much better than the Panthers. I mean, why can't they win outright? The one thing I could say in this game is, and we're going to talk about it later, they can slow down the run.
Yeah.
And the one worry about the Philadelphia, and A.J. Brown was right, is can you win the game passing the rock? The Steelers about to find out if y'all can.
Out of spite, out of pure spite, Jalen Hurts will make sure that they pass it efficiently. Out of just pure spite.
Yeah, he don't have the ability to just do it out of pure spite.
Ooh.
He doesn't have the ability to just be like, he ain't Kobe. Like, just out of spite, I'm going to do something to you. He just has to play better football. But the 5.5 seems egregious to me, right? Like, you barely get by the Panthers. And again, you play down the competition. You're much, 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 much better than that.
Yeah.
But I think people, again, the Steelers are my dark horse to go to the Super Bowl. So I think maybe this is more of a, I feel like people are just underrating how good the Steelers actually are.
Yeah, I will say that. Yes.
And I think it'd be a great game. I think the Eagles should be favored and they should win the game because they're at home. But 5.5 is a lot, and I think the Steelers are going to make sure that game is one of those games where you guys are sweating pits.
Yeah,
your pits are sweating in the entire game, just wet. That's how
we got it. Thank you. Thank you for the.
You like how I
did
the reenactment, just so you know, give you a visual.
Can I give you another game?
Yeah, go ahead real quick.
I'm gonna go ahead real quick. I mean, you can't go real quick with this, but I think Bills outright, Lions.
All right,
outright.
We're gonna talk about the Steelers in our biggest games of the week. We're gonna talk about that game, and we're gonna talk about the Steelers game. But next, we got to talk about the touchdown parlays. The parlay queen. Didn't work out last week, but it usually works out. So you should usually go
2
for 3.
Still good percentage.
2 for 3. That's
still
a good
positive
percentage.
net.
So we're gonna talk about the touchdown parlays coming up. What you should bet on, who's gonna score, and how it's gonna go. That's coming up next on the Sunday Spread. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread. Barrett Brooks, Devin Caney, Sean Bell. It's touchdown time. When we talk about touchdown parlays, we go to Devin Caney, the queen of touchdown parlays. Devin, first I got to ask you a question.
What's that?
Because I noticed you said earlier, you said you hit 2 out of your 3 of your touchdown parlays last week. My problem I think I have with my touchdown parlays is I just put them all together. I just six guys touchdown parlay for the biggest bet and see how do you break yours down? Because I need to stop doing that method because if not several, there's always one.
Sometimes it works when you do that. So with the ones, I try to keep it to 3 that I give out on this show and in this segment, and I will put those 3 together because I always place, what the bets that I give out. But as I give them out, I also want people watching, listening to keep in mind, like, you can take them separately. You could even take one and make it like a first touchdown score on its own. Like, you don't necessarily have to parlay them all together. With touchdowns, I've been trying to keep it to like 2 or 3 because it's so easy to just like, I'll usually do one crazy one where it's like 6 different scores and it literally never hits. Like once in a blue moon, it'll hit. But yeah, like these 3 I'll put together, but I also have 2 bonus bets that you could do separately together. It's whatever you want. Okay. User's choice.
All right, user choice. With that said, what is your user choice this week?
All right, so anytime touchdowns, Jahmyr Gibbs from the Lions. He didn't do much on the ground last week, but he had a few. He was 6 for 6 in terms of receiving targets. Bills defense allows the most targets and receptions to running backs, and the second most receiving touchdowns to running backs. So Gibbs 6 for 6 in receptions, and he scored a receiving touchdown. So compared to David Montgomery, I know that we always talk about, differentiating those two and deciding which one you want to go with for an anytime. I think Gibbs is more of the receiving back than Montgomery. So I'm going to go with Gibbs again, back-to-back receiving touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, anytime touchdown. Ooh. Giants are not good against mobile quarterbacks. Like, they're the worst. They're bad against a lot of things, but they're the worst against mobile quarterbacks in the league, especially in the red zone. Lamar said after the Eagles game, his mom yelled at him for not running enough, for not turning on the wheels. Mama knows best. So I think Lamar's going to get in there. Plus, the Giants, they don't do a lot of things well, but their defensive front is still good, so could have him running outside the pocket and into the end zone. Joe Mixon, anytime touchdown. Dolphins defense, not good against running backs, especially in the red zone. They're allowing the 4th most rushing touchdowns to the position. Mixon has scored in 4 of his last 5 games, at least 1 touchdown. Now, I do have two bonus scores.
Okay.
That you don't have to put with these 3, but if you want to take them. First one, Isaiah Pacheco. The Browns allow the 3rd most rushing touchdowns to running backs, and Pacheco's due. He hasn't scored one since he came back. And then, of course, A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown had 3 touchdowns against the Steelers in 2022. So we know what happened this week. We just talked about it. I know that a lot of people are going to say, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, they won't take that into account. I think they absolutely will feed A.J., and he'll get at least 1 touchdown.
Okay. I like all of those. Research queen. I like all. See, I need to not put them all together. See, that's my problem.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put everything Dev gave me together. 6 touchdowns and always 1 drops. Section them off. That's the advice that Devin Caney's bringing me today.
Or put them all together. Like, it's up to you.
Okay. See, that's how I lose.
See, Brock Bowers, like, if that hit, then it would have been really valuable altogether.
And that's why I went 2-1.
Brock Bowers didn't hit last week?
No.
Were you not listening to me at the start of the show?
He didn't.
No, he didn't.
Oh, I just wanted Kenny to hear that again. Go ahead, B. Brooks.
I'm gonna go with a QB parlay. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. I think that's pretty easy money there. You know what I'm saying?
For all of them? That 3? You doing a 3 quarterback anytime?
Yes. And then I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I was gonna go 3 with running back. I was gonna go 3 with running back also. I was going to Connor James. Of course, Barkley, Najee Harris, but then I have to put in Joe Mixon. I mean, I have to. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm also going with a receiver, 3-leg parlay. I'm gonna go A.J. Brown, Jerry Jeudy, and the Cheetah. I mean, I think
the Cheetah been on locks this year,
and that's why I'm
he
going with
hasn't
him.
done a lot.
That's why I'm going with him this weekend.
Okay. I actually liked him. I have him in my game notes for that game, but I think he's been dealing with, I don't think it's a serious injury.
No.
And that kind of scared me off, including him in my parlay. But I like it.
But you can always go with for Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Put him in there. What's his name from Minnesota?
Justin
Jefferson.
Oh,
Justin Jefferson. Yeah.
The good thing I had in the parlay, on was it Monday? I had Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb both going over 100 yards and both getting an anytime touchdown and hit for me in that game. So I think I'm gonna do more of those. But as far as anytime touchdowns, I got a lot of receivers again. I got Justin Jefferson going against the Bears. Swiss meat. Jamar Chase. I mean, he's having an all-time great wide receiver season.
And it sucks that he's on.
His defense is just horrible, but he is on a roll now.
First in reception, first in touchdown.
A crazy stat that if you have him on your fantasy team, which I sadly do not, you have like a 50% chance of being like first or second in your league because he's going off that much. Yeah,
he scored that many points. How many touchdowns does he have again? I believe 15. Let me fact check that. That's right, 15 touchdowns so far this year. So again, that's Justin Jefferson and I think I'm gonna have Justin Jefferson in a parlay. Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Jamar Chase to score anytime touchdown.
I like it.
Those 3 wide receivers because they're all facing teams that can't stop nothing. Again, the Panthers have played great. Don't get it twisted, but they're still susceptible for CeeDee Lamb to go great, especially when he's the only real target that forgot the quarterback. Rush has. Cooper Rush.
I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot for a sec. Cooper Rush has. Jamar Chase. Okay. I think the Titans have given up. So those are 3 of the ones I have wide receiver wise. Derrick Henry's the obvious. I'm not sure. Again, picking Derrick Henry alone doesn't really win you much money.
I know. So that's why I did Lamar.
He's always thrown into a parlay to give you a little bit of an extra boost.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley. Would y'all go with Saquon this week? Again, Pittsburgh Steelers, they can stop the run.
Yeah, but they're not like super stout against the run. Like I think Saquon will get through at least once. I mean, I like that.
I mean, everybody's acting like
we kind of forgot about Saquon this week with all the drama.
Right. He's still over 100 yards.
He can still do
124 yards.
His teammates are complaining.
I don't understand that, man. I mean, and I get mad at people say, "Oh, you're going to the play. You're going to have to pass." No, you don't have to pass the ball. I won a Super Bowl, and we ran the ball 549 times and threw the ball 379 times, and I got a ring. The math is always there. There's precedence of it. Chill with this. We got to pass. No, we don't.
Hey, Barrett, that was 20 years ago. That was different helmets. Safety rules are different. It's all past everything. And if it ain't past, they ain't happy.
It all comes back around just like bell bottoms, man. It comes back around.
Bell bottoms came back around?
Yeah, man. Like 4 years ago, bell bottoms was in. Then they left again. Just as fast as they came in, they left again.
There are some wider leg pants that I like now. I know it looks funny, but
no. I have them on right now. Mom jeans, like from the 90s, like that look. It's the one great thing I love about Gen Z. Like they brought back 90s styles. They think that they're original with it, but like no, you guys just brought back all of our styles from 1990s.
I appreciate it.
And early 2000s.
I like the Doom and then the wide at the bottom. I could take that.
Yeah, don't bring back low rise jeans.
Please, or the Steve Harvey suits.
That's never gonna come back. Yeah. How are we on fashion right now? With that said, and again, I like Joe Mixon. Everything. Mm-hmm. Now, Joe Mixon is a dog, and he's won me a lot of bets. So I'm gonna continue with Joe Mixon. I ask y'all this every week. It's always a hard one to do. 2 touchdown scorers. Mm-hmm. Are there any 2 touchdown scorers that you're looking at a possibility this week? I'm going to start off and say Jamar Chase again.
Yeah.
He's just, again, he's going to get 14, 15 targets. He's, 100-plus yards. Again, the Titans a bad team that's sort of given up. I think Jamar Chase can go out and have a 2-touchdown performance. But is there anybody y'all look at and say, 2-touchdown performance? Again, that's depending on who it is, that's always plus 400, 500. Is anybody at 2 touchdowns that you like?
Bro, I'm strong at going with Jerry Jeudy, man. I mean, he has a connection right now with his QB
against the Chiefs and that defense.
Yes, bro. Yes. Should I write it down?
Write it down.
Write it down.
Write it on your paper. You never go back to your paper on the next show. We're going to make sure you go back to the stuff you write down.
You're right.
I mean, we're going to make sure we got to have a part of a segment where we go back down to what you wrote down.
Right. 2 TDs. Jerry Jeudy, 2 TDs.
Okay.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say A.J. Brown.
That's not going out on a limb because they're going to try to appease him.
Yeah, and he had 3 against the Steelers 2 seasons ago. I know it's not the same team. But I just have a feeling, so I'm going with A.J. Brown for 2 if I take anyone.
Okay, and a lot of that depends on Jalen. Feel comfortable with Jalen? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we'll check more on that later. Is Derrick Henry not an obvious right now too?
Yeah, so
the Giants.
I found
we haven't talked about Derrick Henry anytime touchdowns in weeks.
No, we haven't. Well, and the Ravens had a bye last week.
Yeah.
I found, I don't know about you guys, like my brain, we're deep enough in the season that there's certain games where like I kind of almost just skip over in terms of like bet, and I shouldn't because Derrick Henry is an obvious choice.
Yeah.
And I did take Lamar Jackson because Derrick Henry was just like his odds, he's like such a given. So yeah, like I like that. My point is, I guess like there are certain matchups at this point in the season that I kind of just am like, whatever. Like Bengals game, But I should be looking at Jamar Chase. Like, I only look at the exciting ones where it's probably least likely for my bets to hit. So I'm just going about it the wrong way.
Right? We just ignore people because we did the same thing when no one mentioned Saquon, no one mentioned Derrick. Yeah. But, like, we did that 3-4 weeks in a row of the obvious touchdown person and going with the risky. Like, we got to give the customers somebody obvious. Like
obvious Falcons, Raiders, I have nothing for that game because I just, like,
I'm surprised you don't have someone surprising. Again,
I will, but right now,
Freiermuth.
Well, he plays for the Steelers,
but that's still surprising. No one ever picks Pat Freiermuth.
He's a tight end. He's their starting tight end.
Yes, but no one ever mentions his name.
I will say
that's why it was a surprise. I was like, come on, Pat.
Speaking of tight ends, but I also banned tight ends from my anytime touchdown parlay.
Sorry, Barrett.
Yeah, sorry.
She got to ban him for you.
If David Njoku plays for the Browns, I would bet him for an anytime bet. I know he's been questionable at practice all week because the Chiefs are really bad against tight ends. Really bad.
And I would think about Joe Mixon too for multiple touchdowns.
Yeah.
We talked about how bad the Dolphins are against the run game. Again, C.J. Stroud. Maybe we talk about this another time. I don't think he's having as bad of a season as people think he's having. I just think people expected him to be all world this season and not have any slumps. So I still think C.J. Stroud has had a good season, a good sophomore season. But with that said, Joe Mixon is a dog in that running game, so I can see another 2-touchdown performance from him in that game. All right, when we come up, we're going to bring Kenny in. It's alt time. We got to alt it, baby. 100 yards, 150 yards. 300 yards passing. What's the big money bets that are to be had this week? We're going to get to Kenny coming up. Once again, it's Devin Caney, Barrett Brooks, Sean Bell on the Sunday Spread presented by BetMGM. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread presented by BetMGM on the BetQL Network. Devin Caney, Barrett Brooks, Sean Bell. We're going to get to alts, but real quick question. How do y'all use y'all boosters?
What do you mean?
Like, your 33% boosters, your 50% boosters on any NFL bet. Like, where do you choose to use that? Because sometimes I'm like, should I use this on the safe bets where it's like 280 and I make it, 400? Then
That's
other times I'm
it.
like the 800 bets that make them really outlandish so I can win big time money. Like,
I know.
Which
It's
ones do you
hard.
use it on?
I try to use it on ones that are like the lower numbers so it can kind of boost it and make it more valuable. But I'd be lying if I said sometimes I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take this plus 1,500 bet and make it plus 1,800. It's really tempting sometimes to do that. But I try to do it on the ones that are like lower value to kind of give it
the safe ones.
a little
too.
boost.
I need to stop going out there and trying to make outlandish bets.
Well, of course, I tried to boost it on this Eagles game last game against the Panthers.
20-point performance, you thought.
You just want to keep reminding me too, right?
Woof. Shout out to Bryce Young, man.
He's balling now, man. I mean,
I'm just happy the kid is getting some respect in this league finally. Has a lot to go, but he can play here. Now let's get to it. The alternatives, the big bets, 115, 300, whatever you want to bet, the alternatives, but we want to win big money with those alternatives. So let's bring our producer in, Kenny Henderson. Kenny, what's going on?
Doing good. Let's start with one that Devin talked a little bit about last segment with the touchdowns, but let's go to his rushing yards. Lamar Jackson, 50-plus rushing yards, plus 135. He said post-game after the loss that his mom cussed him out for not taking open running lanes. He said, quote, "I'm going to do my blank." You can fill in the blank there. Not radio safe, but I mean, I believe in Lamar Jackson in this matchup, and they're 16-point favorites against the Giants, so it's a little tricky there. He could, potentially come out of the game if they're blowing him out, but 50-plus rushing yards at plus 135, if he says he's going to run, don't you think he's going to do it, Devin?
Yeah, I will alt this. It's a nice compliment to my Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown as well. The Giants are not good against mobile quarterbacks. They're in the top 5 in terms of yards allowed to rushing quarterbacks. So I know, like you mentioned, it's probably not going to be a super close game, but I still think that Lamar can turn the wheels on at least to start the game. And 50 is not a super crazy number, especially for him. So I like it.
Yeah, I love it too. I mean, and Cam did the same thing, telling Lamar, knock it off, run. Listen to your mom. And again, the younger generation of dual threat quarterbacks look at Cam like he's the world because he was one of the best at the dual threat thing. So I'm with you. I think Lamar comes out and goes, all right, let's boogie.
Right. And you got to look at, the team they're facing. I mean, they're trying to get that first round pick right now. They're not trying to win. I mean, anytime you cut your quarterback that you paid all his money for, and you're going out there with guys that, are day-to-day on the roster, Lamar's going to go off in the first half, and they're going to sit him in the second half. That's how bad this game's going to be.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can see him boogieing for one big one.
Right.
But he doesn't need to go crazy when it comes to running the rock against the Giants. But I can see him just having one big 45-yarder to up his number to a total of 7.
Just playing around. While he's doing, he's laughing and playing around, too. You know, he like to laugh and play around while he's playing, too. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
We're all on board, Kenny. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think he could even rush for 100. The only thing I am concerned about that I mentioned is that he might not play the full game because, I mean, I was going to ask you, since we're doing alt it, would you guys also alt the Ravens spread? This is the biggest spread we've seen in the NFL this season so far at 16. Would you even alt it up like to minus 29.5, minus 26, you know, just somewhere in that range to a big blowout win for the Ravens? Because I believe that that's what we've got in this game with the Ravens coming off bye.
Hey, last time I did that, Kenny, I messed up, bro. I messed up. I mean, I got
so scared.
overzealous, man. You know,
I can give you guys some numbers on some alt lines here on BetMGM right now for the spread, as the Ravens minus 24.5 would be plus 240. And that's the highest they'll let you go. So you can even alt it up to minus 19.5 and get yourself some nice plus money at plus 135 just for a 20-point win for the Ravens.
You'll do
19.5, I'll do it. They barely beat the Saints. The Ravens coming off a bye with Lamar Jackson saying, I'm going to boogie. I'm going to get it done. I'll do that for sure.
They actually lost to the Saints. The Saints barely.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I thought I said. Yeah. I'll take it. I'm going to take her on 19.5.
For sure. I think if the Ravens don't blow them out, I think that they got to be concerned moving forward, because I think this is a get-right game for them as they look to play the Steelers the following week in a game that might decide the AFC North.
Well, but see, because of that, that's why I don't think I would take it, just because if the Ravens are up by over 19.5 was the number, by the fourth quarter, I would think that they'd take their starters out to make sure they're rested and stay healthy for the following week. So I could see like a backdoor cover of that. So that's why I'm not going to.
That's a good point. Yeah, we've seen in the NFL the margins can be so tight, and taking a bet like that, you know, can be very risky because of that. So let's go to another little bit of a narrative bet that we've already talked about and touched on. A.J. Brown, 100-plus yards, plus 180. All the talk that the pass game needs to improve. The last time he played the Steelers, he had over 100 and 3 touchdowns. Barrett, do we have a big A.J. Brown game coming up against the Steelers?
You absolutely do. You got to make sure you pamper the superstar. You know, squeaky wheel gets the most oil. Well, he's going to have a lot of oil on him. They're going to give him as much oil as he wants, you know, so he'll be open. And if he's not open, they're still going to throw it to him. So, you know, he'll definitely, I would definitely alt that all day, 100 yards all day.
I agree. I'm taking it. I mean, you know, I like AJ as an anytime touchdown scorer, potentially multiple touchdown scorer. He gets 100 yards, you know, any other day of the week. So I think he gets it.
Just on slants, he'll get 100 yards.
He'll like quietly get. You'll be like, oh, AJ Brown didn't do much. Oh wait, he had 115 yards. So yeah,
I'm gonna go no, just because if we
you're a hater,
if we know that, don't the Steelers? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think I've ever heard. What were you just saying?
See, I said, see what I'm saying? This is why we beef. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? I can't do nothing around here without this.
I just don't think I've ever heard you take an Eagles bet, like ever. Every time it's proposed, you're like,
I've taken.
I'm gonna go the opposite.
I take a Saquon bet every week.
Yeah, and then you complain about it.
Well, I complain on Jalen stealing 10 touchdowns from him, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
It's just because if we all know it, don't the Steelers know it? Right? Yeah. Like, and I get like, hey, it doesn't matter, but to me, it does matter. To me, Mike Tomlin, I would specifically say, oh, they got some controversy over there. Go double A.J. Brown. I think Devontae is the one that has 100 yards this game. If I'm being honest.
That's a good call, too. Because everyone's going to think
we're going to load this box. Yeah. We're going to load this box up, and we're going to put brackets around that guy over there and A.J. Brown. And hopefully they get annoyed, they get frustrated with each other, and then they get some arguing over there on the bench. Right? Like, I'm going to play that against you. I'm going to make A.J. doesn't get the targets, doesn't get the touches. So he gets mad and see if there's some type of implosion that can occur. But again, I know that AJ's unhappy and you want to feed him. So I'm gonna go double that dude. You ain't gonna just get this one-on-one slant. Nah, there's gonna be an inside guy on you, just how they do Justin Jefferson and the other great wide receivers around this league. Yeah. And Kellen Moore hasn't done a good job of being creative and getting guys open. Again, we'll talk about the entire game later. But that's my thought process on why I'm thinking about going Devontae 100, and I'm sure the odds are a lot higher on that. Devontae 100 as opposed to A.J. Brown, because the Steelers are good enough of defense to see that and say, all right, we know what you're doing.
I like that. I will just say, in terms of the narrative with A.J. Brown, he has said throughout this season, like, and he's been mic'd up on the sideline, like, congratulating, like, pumping up Saquon Barkley. It's not that, like, I think every receiver and of that level is going to be a little bit of a diva, and it's going to be about, feeding the star. But I think as long as anyone is getting the ball through the air, he'd be happy. Like, I don't think, and if the Steelers want to think that, great, that's fine. But I don't think A.J. Brown would care if Devontae had over 100. And I like that take. That's good. If Dallas Goedert was playing, then I would definitely take his over yardage. Maybe not 100 because Steelers are really bad against tight ends. But I don't trust Grant Calcaterra enough to take him. But something to watch.
Yeah, I just think AJ's like, I got to eat too.
Yeah, but I also
when my
think,
guys eat.
I think he's
just
more frustrated, like, with the offense as a whole. I think it was a misunderstanding by fans and media that it was AJ saying, like, me. I think it was like, we can be a lot better as a team. Passing.
Yeah,
that's
think
how I read it.
AJ's like, yeah, we need to pass better.
Well, and he knows how good he is. Like, he knows that he can be the guy.
But still, give me the damn ball.
Yeah, because he trusts himself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think, Kenny?
Actually, Sean, you make a really good point, and I'm starting to waver off this more. Also thinking about the possibility of Saquon really having a big game in this game, as well as him trying to stamp his MVP chances. And I just think that you made the point that you made is why Jordan Addison is so good in Minnesota right now, is the coverage that they have on Justin Jefferson. Same kind of idea here, probably with A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith things might open up for him, or potentially Saquon Barkley wherever they look in the offense. And maybe A.J. doesn't have the big game that we're all expecting just because of the talk within the media right now. So we'll see how it turns out. I expect the Eagles to figure it out somewhat on offense, because Jalen's the real one that's got to figure it out. I think AJ's getting open on a lot of these plays, and Jalen's just not pulling the trigger when he needs to. But I think they figure it out in some form, even if it's not him and AJ. Let's go to another Brown here for 100 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 100 plus yards, plus 290. The Bills just let up a ton of yards to Puka and Kupp. He's coming off a quiet game, but he is a consistent player. Big game from Amon-Ra in the big game on Sunday. Sean, what are you thinking?
Again, it's been a while. I feel like he's been a little bit inconsistent for me. It's been a while. It's been, I want to say, 4 games since he had a big game like that where he had over 100 yards. But I like it. Again, based off what they did last week, I think Detroit's going to utilize their pass game a lot more. I think their running game is going to be decent, because it's always decent, but I don't think it's going to be as effective. And I could see Jared Goff having over 250 yards, and if he's going to have that type of game, I could see Amon-Ra St. Brown getting off. So I'll take it.
I am not going to take it because, like, if you look at the Detroit Lions offensive numbers, Jared Goff will still have well over 250 passing yards, but no receiver really has, like, these big 100-plus yard games that often, because he has so many options that he can get the ball to. I think that's what makes the offense of Detroit so potent, right? Like, he can throw to Jahmyr Gibbs, who had 30 receiving yards. He can throw to David Montgomery. Jamison Williams has had 50 yards in 4 of the last 5 games. Tim Patrick, I've never heard his name before. He's had 40 or more receiving yards in 3 straight games. So I just think, like, they're too. I never know with that Lions offense who's going to be the guy. And Amon-Ra didn't have a great game last week, so maybe that means he'll go off. But I just think the number is a little high for me.
I'm gonna go ahead and audit, just because Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's the guy that they look for big plays, and he's just that dynamic of a player. They like to get the ball to him. Going against this team, I think he's gonna do all right this game. Just like you said, he didn't do much last week, which is why I think he'll go out there and be special this week.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Kenny? Give us another one too.
Yeah, I like Amon-Ra in this matchup solely because of what Puka and Kupp were able to do last week. I think that he's going to be the guy. 8+ receptions, 100+ yard game from him in this one. They're going to need him because the offense is going to want to move methodically and keep the ball away from Allen instead of, big plays and giving Allen the opportunity to put up a lot of big points. I think this is a big Montgomery and Amon-Ra game. A little bit of Gibbs as well, but they're going to try to, punch it down their throat with Montgomery and get Amon-Ra on those short routes. He'll have a lot of catches and a lot of yards in this game, I believe. So let's go to a Monday Night Football game. This one kind of hits home because I understand what Aaron Jones does against my Bears. 75+ rushing yards, plus 135. He's owned the Bears in the past. The Bears' run defense really struggled last week, and without Eberflus, looks like it's going to be struggling in the near future. Vikings should be leading in this game as well and trying to run out the clock. What do you think about this one, Sean? Aaron Jones, 75+ yards.
Yeah, I like it based on that. I think this is going to be, again, the Bears are the Bears. They're donezo. So the running game is going to get a lot in the second half, and Aaron Jones should be able to get off a bit in the second half. So just 75, I'll take it.
Yeah, I like it. I'll take it. I would also take Aaron Jones for a touchdown in that game.
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns. Sure.
Okay.
I just think the Bears are they're sorry, guys in Chicago, but I think the Bears are done. They're just mentally probably not even the Vikings are still rolling. So I just think that Aaron Jones, it's his 2 touchdowns to lose.
Yeah, at this point, the Vikings are still playing for that number 1 spot, that number 1 seed. Not just winning their division. They're trying to win the division also. They still got to play them, to play the Lions. So looking at that, I think Aaron Jones goes off. He stays consistent, especially the division opponent. I like that. And I think they're going to blow them out early, and they're just going to turn around and start running the rock instead of passing the ball, which leads to, more opportunities for them. So, that's I would go with that also. That also.
Okay, what you think, Kenny?
Yeah, I think Aaron Jones, touchdown, 2 touchdowns, his yardage, 75 even at plus money. That's the bet here that we're looking to all. I think this is a perfect bet because I think that the game script definitely follows that, and he's scored 8 touchdowns in his last, 8 games against the Bears. So, he scores touchdowns against them all the time. So
I like it.
Yeah, I love this one.
I should have included him in my parlay.
You still can.
Yeah, you can.
All right, coming up next, biggest games. There's a lot of big heavyweight games this week. Bills, Lions, Steelers, Eagles, Packers, Seahawks. Will bring Kenny back, and we'll break those big games down coming up on the Sunday Spread. And we're back rolling on the Sunday Spread presented by BetMGM on the BetQL network. Barrett Brooks, Sean Bell, Devin Caney. Now it's time to get to the biggest games of the week, and it's playoff implications. It's Super Bowl implications. It's seeding implications. They're all very important, especially for the big-time teams, and some of the big-time teams are playing each other. So let's bring Kenny back in to tell us which big games we'll be talking about.
Let's start with potentially the biggest game of the year, the Lions and the Bills. Lions here at home, -2.5. I heard some of you guys maybe like the Bills in this game. Josh Allen coming off the 6-touchdown performance in the loss against the Rams last week. The Lions squeaked out a win against the Packers. They're injured on defense, but the offense still clicking on full cylinders. What do we think about this one, Devin, in Detroit?
Yeah, I had the Bills as my straight-up underdog winner earlier in the show, and I'm going to stick with that. So whether you want to take Bills plus 2.5 or Bills on the money line for plus money, I think the Bills have the edge here, especially coming off a loss. It's going to give them some extra motivation. Josh Allen, fully aware of what he's playing for here. He needs to solidify that MVP win. And I just think that the Bills have more offensive and defensive firepower compared to the Lions, whose defense is kind of slowly losing more and more guys to injury, concussions, whatever it may be. I think that gives the Bills the edge here. So, and it's in a dome. Jared Goff plays well in domes. It's in Detroit, but Josh Allen can also go off in a dome. We saw them play out in LA last week. I think he's going to go off again against the Lions.
I'm going with the Bills beating the Lions also. This is crucial for this Bills team. They understand, just like you talk about positioning. it's not really positions with them, but it's more so them wanting to go out there and impose their will on, this Lions team. I mean, they might be thinking of this as a Super Bowl, prelude. That's what they're looking at. And getting guys healthy back, Keon Coleman, the rookie sensation, he's going to be back this game. I don't think they'll have Dalton Kincaid back, but Dawson Knox will still be good. But I just think that Josh is going to go in there with a little bit more of an attitude and want to show, hey, I'm better than Jared Goff, and I'm about to come out here and ball. And I think their defense is better than the Lions right now. They got Matt Molina back. That's his guy. Starting middle linebacker. So yeah, this is going to be a good game, and I can't wait to watch this game. It's going to be a really good game.
Could this be a Super Bowl preview?
Could be.
No, my Eagles will be there, but I'm just saying.
But that's obvious. You got the Eagles and you got the Chiefs. But again, the Bills, Lions, both have a realistic chance to be in the conference.
Yes, they do.
Championship.
I think the Bills will be the AFC team in the Super Bowl. I think NFC is more up in the air.
Wow.
I mean, the Bills have already beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are fraudulent, and they'll lose early in the playoffs, I think.
See, I want to pick the Bills, but then every time any set is all in the same page.
I know.
And these big time games, that means everybody is going to be a loser. So I'm leaning towards the Lions right now, but for the same reasons as you guys said, I'm with the Buffalo Bills in this game. Detroit Lions hurt on defense, dealing with a lot on defense, and the Buffalo Bills are going to be able to run that up a little bit. And again, the Buffalo Bills defensively have to feel embarrassed after what the Rams did to them last year. So their pride and competitiveness, to me, shouldn't let the Detroit Lions come back and put up a 40-burger on them, just like they let up a 40-burger last week. So I think the Bills' defense is a lot better than they were last week, and I think they'll show up and be a better team this week, which will allow them to win just because Detroit, well, defensively, they're hurt. Kenny, what do you think?
I like the Lions a lot, and it's pretty simple for me. I just think Dan Campbell and what they've got built there is just really special. He's a much better coach than Sean McDermott. Yes, Josh Allen's going to be the best player on the field, but I think the Lions defense has been able to step in no matter who's been hurt. It's been Hutchinson. It's been Brian Branch going down the last game, the whole defensive line being
I think he might be down right now. I think Branch might be down right now. Brian Branch might be down right now.
I think he's going to be questionable for this game. That's the thing, but they've been able to have players step in and play well. There's the reason both them and the Chiefs are 12-1. I picked against both of those teams last week, and they both didn't cover, but they found ways to win the game, and that's just what these teams are doing right now, and I can easily see those are the teams playing in the Super Bowl because of that. The Lions and the Chiefs, no matter how they do it, they just find ways to win the game. Lions look a little bit better doing so than the Chiefs do. We can talk about the Chiefs for another time, but the Lions specifically, they just find ways to win, and I refuse to fade them here in this spot where I believe they have the better coach and the better overall team.
But here's the issue, and we didn't talk about this. Will Dan Campbell, you talk about that. I think Sean McDermott, I'd still get the eggs in McDermott over Campbell because McDermott's just been winning for longer, right? And again, Campbell could get there, but McDermott's been winning for longer, so I don't think there's much of a difference, but he's done it for a longer amount of time. Will Campbell do something in the clutch in the fourth quarter and make this team lose? I mean, he got killed last week about some of his in the clutch decisions in regards to going for it on fourth down.
Yeah.
Similar to Nick Sirianni stuff here in Philadelphia. He lost the game, or you can argue that he lost the game against the San Francisco 49ers.
See, he gets killed for it when they lose, but when they win, it's, oh, wow, he's so bold. He's always making these great decisions.
They still killed him for last week.
Yeah.
So how do y'all feel? Again, we all picked the Buffalo Bills, so maybe I should ask you, Kenny, first. How do you feel about Dan Campbell's clutch situation, fourth quarter, 2-point conversion decisions?
I feel phenomenal about it, and I love that you brought it up because this is what the Lions are. This is what they're going to live and die by. They're going to live and die by Dan Campbell's motto of grit and determination, and we're going to go out and we're going to be the best team on the field, and we've got the better players. He trusts his players. He trusts Jared Goff. He trusts Montgomery. He trusts the offensive line, especially on that specific play against the Packers, and they got it done. Now, if that happens in the playoffs and they don't get it done, ultimately, yes, it's on Dan Campbell making the decision. It's also on the players not being good enough. He talked about it when Jahmyr Gibbs leaked out the photo, and the media asked him about it. He said, if teams know our plays and we don't execute, we're just not good enough. So He trusts his players. This is what he's all about. And if they're going to go out and win it, the players are going to go ahead and do it, and they're going to do it under the way that he wants it to be done. Because it's worked so far. They're 12-1, and I love it. And if it's going to continue to work, they're going to go and win it all because they've got the talent to do so.
You turning me, man. You really turning me, man. You saying some good stuff there. Some really good stuff, and just think, I played with Dan for 1 year when I was with the Giants. And, that biting kneecap stuff off, that's truly him. That's the way he played. He wasn't the best athlete in the world. He wasn't the, quickest, strongest, fastest. But, man, gritty. He was a gritty tight end. He would like to mix it up in the, in the trenches. So, man, he's starting to turn me, but I don't know. I mean, Josh Allen is just such a prolific player, man. He's just.
See, I don't know about Daniel. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I understand you trust your players, but sometimes you got to just make the softer, more comfortable decision that say, let's just – like I trust my kid to walk upstairs with his dinner on the steps. That don't mean I'm going to let him because he's probably going to – son's going to fall on the floor.
Yeah.
Right? Like something has a big possibility. I may trust him and all, but let's do that. I may trust you to get that from here to there, but let me do it. And sometimes you got to take that approach. So I just – it's a little too much aggression for me sometimes.
I got that. You're looking at me like sure.
I didn't.
Sure. I don't know.
You're not wavering. You stand with the Bills. Huh?
Yeah, I think the Bills are the better team.
Okay. All right. What's the next game we're talking about?
Wow.
Yeah, we're all against you.
Shocked.
We're all against
shocked.
you.
No.
You had me going for a minute, bro. You had me going for a minute, man.
Before we go to the next game, I just want to ask Devin. So, who's the best? If the Lions aren't the best team in the NFL, who is?
In the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
The Bills.
Well, okay. I just want to make sure.
He thought you were going to say the Eagles. He was trying to bait you into
No. I won't say the Eagles.
Oh, bait me? The Eagles are the best team in the NFL.
I think the Eagles could beat the Lions. I do.
Okay.
I don't think there's an elite team in the NFL.
Top two.
So
the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now.
I don't say that. I think anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah,
Ain't no elite team.
I agree.
Right? So it's just
we're not asking that. Who has the best roster in the NFL?
It's so not roster wise. I think who is playing the best football right now. I think the Bills are.
We didn't say the best football. We said who has the best
I know, but
team.
I'm saying best roster. Yeah, the Eagles probably.
Yeah, so that's the best team.
No,
but I don't think they're playing like the best team
because you have
right
the
now.
best roster don't mean you're the best team. Sorry, Barrett. I apologize for even saying anything. Who are we talking about next? Speaking of, Kenny.
I love that we're talking about the best team in the NFL, and the Chiefs, 2-time Super Bowl champions, don't even get mentioned. I know how they're playing, but it's like they win again, and then we can come back to this and the fact that we didn't even mention them as the best team in the NFL.
Because they're not. Well, yeah, we hate them. A and B, they're not playing like the best team, and they're neither the categories we just debated. They don't even have the best roster. They have the best quarterback, sure. At least for now. I don't know. It's hard to even evaluate how Patrick Mahomes has been playing because they haven't been playing super great. And they're not playing the best football. Like they're just winning games because they're getting lucky. They won on a dink. Like who does that?
They do. They've been doing it all year.
Not
too.
the Bears.
And plus, I mean, they're still Swifties. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, don't come at Swifties. Don't come at Swifties.
So Devin about to fight you, Barrett. It ain't gonna be me this time. All right, Kenny, what we on next?
All right, we're gonna go to the Eagles game. Steelers at the Eagles. 5.5 points, guys. This is a lot for Mike Tomlin going on the road in Philly. The Steelers are playing really good football with Russell Wilson. The Eagles, of course, on this huge winning streak, but just a 6-point win against Carolina last week. Sean, Steelers, Eagles, what do we got in this one?
The 5.5 is still crazy to me. I mean, we talked about it earlier today. Like, the Steelers not respected in this league?
No.
5.5? After the Eagles barely beat the Panthers, again, the Eagles are 1-2 when it comes to the most. All right, if you want to say the most talented team, fine. They're certainly one of the best 3 teams in the NFL right now.
Right.
And the Steelers are one of the 6 best.
I think
the Steelers are
right
behind them in the ranking.
I think George Pickens made a really big difference in that line because he's a major loss, especially with an offense that has been so much better with Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, especially without George Pickens, he doesn't have a ton of options to get the ball to.
Yeah, but even then, you look at all the games that they've lost 3 games. They lost 3 games by a total of, I'm sorry, I'm not the greatest at math, 3, 6, 11 points. That's their difference. 11 points is their difference between being undefeated and not. Obviously, that's a big deal, but it's not like they go out and they get smacked in games. It's not like they have 5.5-point differences.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I like the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. I actually like the Pittsburgh Steelers to win, and some of this is, I'm not even going to say this is football factual sense. It's one of those things where I just go, I don't see the Eagles winning 12 in a row to win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Like most Super Bowl winning teams have a loss somewhere at the end, and then they go win the Super Bowl. I know that's not the hard facts that people want to hear or that make sense, but most teams who go on to win a Super Bowl make deep runs. They say, hey, aren't going to say I haven't lost in September. Mm-hmm. And so I think the Eagles are going to have a loss in there somewhere, and I think it makes sense in this spot. I think this is going to be the game, and their final can we win the Super Bowl hurdle for the Eagles is, can we win with the pass game featured? Right? They haven't been able to do that in over a year. Where you go, the pass game is featured, and we win the game.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had to.
They've lost a couple of games, so they've had to. Last year, they had to in the playoffs also. They had to, and they weren't able to. That's why I'm dating it back to a year. They weren't able to win games featuring the pass, and I think the Steelers are going to say, that's what you have to do. And if they're able to do that, that's the final hurdle to me to say, Super Bowl team, this is great. This is greatness. But if they don't, then I'm going to have worries going into the playoffs about this Philadelphia Eagle team. They can lose this game, and I can still feel good if the passing game goes right in this game. But I do think this is going to be an L for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Why is that
an L for the Eagles and a win for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Why? They pass just enough to win. People keep acting like you need the pass. No, you need to run the ball. Running the ball travels. I tell people that all the time. A running game travels to anywhere, any surface. Indoor, outdoor, in your backyard.
Let me counter with this then. At some point, every fashion in the game doesn't play well, and other people need to pick you up, right?
Right.
Offense ain't doing it today. The defense does it. Defense doesn't do it. The offense does it. So I'm not saying that you have to abandon the run game, but there's going to be a half of football or a game of football where the run game ain't necessarily getting it done, and it has to be the pass game.
So right. I agree with you for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl and to convince me that they can, then yeah, because like that's what I feel with this Eagles pass game and the lack of it that we've seen so far. It doesn't necessarily have to be this weekend. When we looked ahead to at the Eagles schedule, I think it started with the Rams. It was Rams, Ravens, Panthers didn't really count, Steelers, Commanders. I had this Steelers game kind of circled as I think that could be a tricky one because I knew from doing the show, from looking at the league as a whole, the Steelers were not a team to mess around with. Now without George Pickens and given the Eagles' struggles against the Panthers, I know they still won, but they're the type of team, like they take it almost as a loss. Like they're going to want to bounce back and play really well, especially offensively. But defense didn't play well either against the Panthers last week, the Eagles.
Yep.
So I think as a whole, they're going to want to bounce back. Either way, a streak is going to be broken in this game because Russell Wilson has literally never lost to the Eagles. Literally never.
He's 6-0
against the Eagles.
Yeah, 6-0. But
and the Steelers haven't won in Philadelphia since like 1960 something. Yeah. So
50 something. Yeah.
Yeah, something's going to break on Sunday, and hopefully it breaks in the Eagles' direction.
Well, all I'm going to say is this. All right. AJ didn't have 100 yards last week, but then the week before he had 100 yards. So they've had passing games where they pass the ball consistently. But because they only have to pass the ball 20 times, if they have one guy mess up or they don't, one pass, you just don't have the opportunities to necessarily you don't have those type of opportunities not to complete the ball. I think that's the biggest thing. Less opportunities, less time to complete less opportunities to complete the ball. Now it's a problem with the passing game. If you throw the ball 40 times a game and then he still gets a drop here or doesn't complete a pass here, it's just a higher rate of passing the ball. But does that necessarily equate to the winning games? I just don't see that correlation. But I do see a clear-cut correlation between you running the ball consistently, you win games. I'm just dumbfounded. People say we need to pass. We don't need to pass.
At some point, the running game's not going to work. Whether it's a
Yeah,
half
at
of
some
football
point, but it
or
doesn't
a
mean
quarter
it's
of
gonna be
football,
this
point. It might-
game of football. That's how every season for every
And
team
also,
has
we've
ever
been
been.
saying that all season, and it still continues to work.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I want a Super Bowl doing it.
Like, it's week 15, it still works.
I'm saying
So at no point did Ben Roethlisberger have to carry it with the passing game in a half of football.
that's why Ben Roethlisberger was pissed off on Super Bowl 40 when he didn't throw a touchdown pass, but a
I'm
receiver
saying
threw a
throughout the whole
touchdown.
playoff run, there was no point where you go, hey, the run game ain't great today or great this half. Ben, you got to make some plays, more plays than usual in the offense. And he was able to make those plays.
It was a balance, bro. It was a balance. We just ran the ball more than we threw the ball. When we called a passing play, they would catch it. We just keep moving on. It wasn't a distinct time where a team came out and totally shut our run game down. That just didn't happen. That didn't happen. You're not just going to totally choke out our run game. What it was is, all right, if we had to pass the ball or we wanted to pass the ball, we'd pass the ball. But it wasn't a team that came and said, all right, we're putting you on lock. We're stopping this.
And you don't think that's possible?
I think we have to wrap up this segment, guys.
We never have to wrap up this segment.
I'm seeing our
my
producer
bad.
like,
yeah,
guys.
Come on. My bad, Kenny. We just lost that. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about one more big game out in the NFC West. And then I'm going to start one, bench one, cut one. We did pretty well last week.
Yeah,
if y'all didn't pay attention. So we're going to go back to that, all right? And our best bets, obviously. My bad, Kenny. Sunday spread. Be right back. Welcome back to the final segment of the Sunday spread. We had to wrap it up. We arguing about run games, Barrett Brooks, of course, the offensive lineman.
Right.
Ain't gonna give up an inch when it comes to talking about the run game. Kenny, you had something to say about this before we got to the next game that we want to talk about. Eagles, Steelers.
Yeah, you made a comment about the Eagles potentially needing to lose a game to, kind of get that out of the way before going on the Super Bowl run. I think that they're a team that just needs to keep winning and keep these winning ways going. We've seen when they went on that skid, if they were to lose, a big game like this against the Steelers or potentially next week against the Commanders, a team that they might see in the first round, they cannot go back to those losing ways, especially with what's going on with Hurts and Brown. And I
Absolutely.
think this is a big game, and someone biased who has a 50-1 Saquon Barkley MVP ticket, I would love for the Eagles to beat them and Saquon to have a good game, and for the Bills to lose, because I think no matter how Allen plays, if they lose back-to-back games, the new narrative becomes Josh Allen and the Bills aren't like the top team in the NFL, and he doesn't have like these crazy numbers. All of a sudden, Saquon's on pace to beat Dickerson's record. The Eagles are 12-2. I would love for that to happen as someone with a Saquon 50-1 ticket. Also, I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to stand on business again. I was wrong last week about the Chargers. I was a doink away from picking them to upset the Chiefs, but I'm going to predict the outcomes this week. Lions beat the Bills. Allen's 2 straight losses. Saquon rushes for over 100 yards. The Eagles beat the Steelers. And Saquon's your new MVP favorite when we wake up Monday morning.
Music to my ears. Okay. Music to my ears.
Okay. All right, Kenny, what's the last game we're going to talk about?
All right, Sunday Night Football. It's kind of interesting. We've got 2 bangers at 4:25, and then Sunday Night Football is another good one, but kind of a downer compared to these other 2 games. Packers at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are playing really good football. The Packers coming off a loss against the Lions. The Packers are favored here on the road in Seattle. Devin, what are we thinking about this one on Sunday Night Football?
I like it. So Josh Jacobs versus the Seahawks defense. That's what we're doing?
No, we were talking – oh, sorry. We weren't even getting a start bench cut, which was Sean's. We were talking about just the Packers-Seahawks game.
Okay. That's what I didn't know if we had started the game or not. What do I think of this game? I like the Packers. Packers are on a roll. Jordan Love gets better and better every single game. And I know that they lost to the Lions, but I thought he still played really well, and their offense seems to be really clicking. The Seahawks are still a team. I know that they crushed the Cardinals, kind of, but like the NFC West is just so weird. I feel like they're an unpredictable division, and it's hard to tell what's going to happen week after week, especially when it comes to the Seahawks. So I like the Packers continuing to win in this game.
Yeah, you look at it. Even they ran the ball very, very well. With Charbonnet. Even though Kenneth Walker the third was out, Charbonnet balled. He coming off the rock. He playing well, and Geno Smith, man, he's got that touch, and he has a great chemistry with Jackson Smith and Jigba. So with those three receivers they have, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Smith and then Jigba, this that offense is going. They're playing well right now. So, do I think they're gonna beat Green Bay? Likelihood not, but I mean they're gonna win the division. I think they will win the division.
Yeah, the Packers. I know a lot of people were questioning whether or not are they overrated? They're good.
I was like earlier a couple weeks ago. I was saying like, wow, the Packers are sneakily having I think they were 9-3. Was this last week? And I just feel like, especially last season, I think I have a little bit bias where they weren't good and then heated up, and everyone all of a sudden was talking about them like they were Super Bowl contenders this year because they had a really good end to their season last year.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they're legit. Like I will admit that I was wrong about the Packers because I was one to say that I thought that they were a little bit overrated.
Because the Packers have 4 losses. They lost to the Eagles, Vikings, Lions twice. All right, so there ain't no hiccups against bad teams. And they played all those good teams to one score.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, hey, we're a score away. We were in this game. We could have won that game. I think the Packers are the sneaky team.
And I think Zaire Alexander didn't play in their last loss to the Lions.
Okay, see?
No, he was out, but they got they've got a lot of guys that are out right now in that secondary.
But they're still for the most part winning.
Yep.
That offense keeps getting better, and I go, to me, the Packers will be the toughest team for either the Lions or Eagles to face because, okay, how tough is it to beat a division opponent 3 times? The Lions beat the Packers twice, one-score games. You got to beat them again. The Eagles and the Packers are much better and different teams from week 1, but still having to face that same team again who sort of, all right, I know maybe not your tendencies, but Saquon, I know how fast you are because I know how Lane Johnson does. You get familiar with things. So I think the Packers is a team that the Lions, Eagles, and other teams in the NFC don't want to face. So with that said, I think Packers are going to be a tough out in the playoffs. Again, I don't have them going to the Super Bowl, but they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs, and I like them.
Plus, they're good receivers. They're young receivers. Those guys are getting better now.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Kenny?
I like Green Bay a lot. I just think it's a good spot for them. It's tricky going into Seattle, but I think with coming off a long rest here, they played last Thursday, and then them just having more talent as well. I think that they get the win there in Seattle. Seattle's really hot. They've won 4 games in a row, but I just don't think that continues. I think that they have not run into a team like Green Bay in these last 4 weeks, and Green Bay will get it done. So,
all right, I like it. All right, let's play a little start one, bench one, cut one. Did that last week for the first time, and it actually went pretty well. Right, last week, I don't know if y'all are paying attention, but we looked at the games. The wide receiver one we got right. I did 2. We did the wide receiver one and the running back one. And this is for 100 yards because I'm just – season's about to be over. I'm trying to look for a big cash out. I'm trying to look for $1,000-something, something like that. And you got to pick those type of bets. So we had – you were right because the start one, bench one, we had A.J. Brown, I believe it was, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Yeah.
We benched A.J. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only one out of those 3 not to get 100 yards.
Yeah.
And a touchdown. So those 2 individuals got it done. So if you would have put money on those 2, you would have won. The running back one, we did not win because Alvin Kamara got shut down. He had under 50 yards, didn't really do any much. But the other people we picked, I believe it was Tony Pollard, had over 100 yards and a touchdown. So we did pretty well. My problem was I combined the running back and the wide receiver bet, and that's where I messed up because I'm always doing too much.
Now I remember I wrote it down last week and then I didn't place it, so I need to remember to actually place it this week. Same with our alt-it segment. I always forget to place those, the ones that I like.
So with that said, start one, bench one, cut one, running back edition, over 100 yards. We got Joe Mixon versus the Dolphins, Josh Jacobs versus the Seahawks, and Saquon Barkley for the Steelers. Start one. Bench
Give
one,
it to me again.
Cut one. Joe Mixon versus the Dolphins. Saquon versus the Steelers. Josh Jacobs versus the Seahawks.
Ooh.
Right? Saquon is the one where you always go yes because he always gets over 100, but he's facing the Steelers defense.
Yep.
So that's the one, in my opinion, that makes it hard here. Do you go for the one that always hits, or do you deter for it for this 1 week? Start one, bench one, cut one.
I'm going to start Joe Mixon. I'm going to start him. And, he's going to double up. Like I said, he has been so consistent as far as 2 touchdown guys. So I'm going to go with him.
Okay.
I'm going to bench Barkley. And I'm going to cut Jacobs. When you play within that division, man, it's tough, bro.
Okay.
I'm going to start Josh Jacobs. I'm going to bench Joe Mixon. And I'm so sorry. I'm going to cut Saquon Barkley. That feels so horrible to say. But I just think that against the Steelers, and given everything that we've talked about that's been going on, I just don't. I would take all 3 of them, honestly. But, of the 3, I guess I have to cut Saquon.
All right. I'll write that down. We're a little different. We didn't come to a consensus.
Nah.
Although I would go start Joe, bench Josh, and also cut Saquon because it's the Steelers, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of 8-man boxes.
I wrote it down.
Okay.
I wrote it down.
We'll go back to everything you write down. And let's go quickly.
I wrote it down.
Wide receivers, 100 yards. Nico Collins versus the Dolphins. A.J. Brown versus the Steelers. Justin Jefferson versus the Bears. Which I think all these can hit. But
yeah. I'm going to start Justin Jefferson versus the Bears. I'm going to bench A.J. Brown and cut Nico Collins versus the Dolphins.
Okay. You said start Justin.
Start Justin
bench
because the Bears are not good.
Yeah, bench A.J.
Bench A.J.
Okay.
Because that still could go either way, just given the run game, and cut Nico Collins because I think it's going to be a Joe Mixon game.
Okay. What you think, Barrett?
I'm going to start Justin Jefferson like you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cut A.J. Brown.
Oof.
Because that just sounds so bad. You're right.
I know. It feels
so bad.
gross.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I feel bad. But I'm going to bench Nico Collins. Reason being I'm cutting Brown because they're going to run the rock. They're not going to be able to stop that running game.
Okay. All right. I may take out. I'm starting Justin. I think I may bench Nico and cut AJ. I just I feel like AJ is going to get so much attention that is going to be ridiculous, and I feel like the
two against one here.
I think the secondary players really get off for the Eagles. Like I said, Devontae Smith. Yeah. I think he really gets off. Dallas Goedert. I think he gets off. So that's why I'm going with that. Last one real quick. 300 yards. 3 guys who threw for over 300 yards. Sam Darnold versus the Bears. Kirk Cousins versus the Raiders. Joe Burrow versus the Titans. And they all threw for over 300 yards last week. Do they have big weeks and throw for over 300 again?
I will start. This is hard. I'll start Sam Darnold. I was about to call him Sam Burrow. Sam Darnold versus the Bears. Bench Joe Burrow versus the Titans and cut Kirk Cousins versus the Raiders.
I'm gonna start Burrows because he's almost unstoppable. I mean, if he had a defense, that team would probably be the best in the AFC if he had a defense. Then I'm gonna bench Sam Darnold and I'm gonna cut Cousins.
Okay, I got y'all. I'm actually gonna start Joe, bench Kirk, and cut Sam. Because I think Sam's just gonna run the ball, and that's gonna be a blowout.
Right, like they might not.
Yeah.
That's
and that could be that could be the case for all 3 of these games.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was struggling.
That could be tough. All right, we only got about a minute left, so let's get to our best bets, our guaranteed bets. Dev, we'll start with you. What's your guaranteed best bets?
All right, so don't hate me, Eagles fans. I still think the Eagles will win, but I do like the Steelers covering that spread. Just 5.5, a little too large for me. I don't know if it'll change at all before game time. I like the Bucs. We didn't really talk about that game. I like the Buccaneers +3 against the Chargers. They're underdogs. I like the Bills winning outright, taking them on the money line. And then my anytimes: Jahmyr Gibbs, Lamar Jackson, Joe Mixon, bonus A.J. Brown, Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco.
Okay, I like it. A lot of good ones. What about you, B. Brooks?
Anytime touchdown, I'm going with Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. I'm also going to go anytime touchdown, Barkley, Harris, and Mixon. But I'm also going to go. I'm going to shock the world. I'm shocked the world. I think the 49ers, even though they're favored, they're going to beat them more than 2.5. So I think they cover that easily. And my last one, I think that the Bengals going to cover 5 easily against this Titans team.
I think they should. Real quick, we got to wrap up, but this is my best big money bet. I'm going to parlay Jamar Chase having over 100 yards in the touchdown with Derrick Henry with fresh legs also having over 100 yards in the anytime touchdown.
I like that.
That's a good bet, yeah.
Put those two together, and I think that's going to be a dub. All right. This has been the Sunday Spread. Only a few more weeks left. All right. It's about to be playoff time, big money time, championship time. Kenny, appreciate you as always. Dylan, appreciate you as always. Devin Caney, Barry Brooks, Sean Bell. This has been the Sunday Spread.